I'm Rachel Alday, and this is the Hospitality Break Room, a podcast full of nuggets and secret sauce, where every Monday we'll shed light on what we've learned from the countless mistakes we've made along our journey in the chaotic and rewarding world of vacation rentals. Hello, and welcome to our third episode of the Hospitality Break Room. And today I have three people from our amazing team joining us, and they're all from our homeowner acquisition and homeowner relations group. So that's Myles, Laura, who happens to be my sister, and Blaine. So we're going to be talking about homeowner focused things today. So we're going to start out with my favorite topic, which is talking about mistakes that we made and what we learned from them, or things that we did that embarrassed us, that taught us good lessons that made us better now. So does anyone have?
Okay, I'll go first.
Okay.
So this happened when I first started, which was almost 10 years ago.
Okay.
So it was only me and Rob and you and maybe a few other
We were a very small team.
small.
Yeah.
And Rob asked me to send an email to all of the owners, and I sent it, but I didn't BCC everyone. So everyone got everyone's email, and luckily nothing bad happened. But
I feel like I remember that. I think our fear was that if the homeowners could be on an email all together, that they might just start some long email chain where they were just bitching about
Right.
things, and it
Yeah.
would just start some sort of snowball rolling down a hill, or maybe
That
some
didn't
sort of
happen, I don't
wildfire.
think.
No, nothing happened.
But
I do remember the fear when we
I-
saw that happening.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I just didn't. My previous job, I didn't have to do a lot of emails.
Yeah.
Just-
Yeah. Well, that was in the old days too, when we were just getting started. And I feel like new businesses is when you are operating out of fear a lot of the time. We're beyond that now. But that is a good story. Okay. So what did you learn?
To check my email before sending.
Okay, that's a
And
good
now
one.
we have the system that there's a whole list of do this first and then do this and then do this, because
Right.
process
Yes.
in our system with booking.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
that. So
Okay.
it's not directly from my email anymore.
Yes. It's not coming from your
Yeah.
Googs. Yeah. Your
Yes.
Google email.
Mhm.
Yes.
What I
Okay.
learned from that is to extend the period of time where you can hit undo
Uh-huh.
a message.
I haven't done that. I
Me
should
either.
do that.
Yeah, I've
Oh, no.
extended mine.
Show me how to do that.
Yeah, I
What's
think
the
I'm at
max?
30 seconds right
You
now.
can do a full minute now, I think.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
support.
I need
Another
that.
tip.
There's the hack
Extend
for
your
it.
undo timing. I don't know how to do that, but maybe Myles will
Yeah, we can
record
chat.
some sort of loom or something where it's one of those videos, so we can send that out and show everyone how to extend that. That's
I
good.
haven't done that.
All right. Any other mistakes that we could all learn from?
I mean, as far as kind of an embarrassing thing, it was early on starting in one of the, I guess, earlier properties we onboarded when I started owner relations. We're walking through the house with these owners. It's in, Deer Valley property, good amount of stairs, all hardwood. And we're going over kind of signage and liability things as far as, ice outside, watch your step kind of thing. Remove your shoes at the door.
Don't flush large items.
Don't flush down. Yeah. Certain things down the toilet. So as we're going over this, we're talking about, also safety features of the home, because we just got our certification from
From Justin with
from
Breezeway.
Justin with
Yeah.
Breezeway for the STRSI, and we're going all over all these trip hazards and slip hazards, and the owners are like, actually, these stairs can get very, very slippery with socks. And I'm like, oh, okay, noted. That's something good. I think about.
You're got it.
Yeah, got it. That's added to my list. I'm making my list while walking and going down said stairs. My sock hits the edge of a step, and I slip down about 5 stairs right on my butt. So,
Right as we're trying to sell these people.
yeah, we're talking about liability, and what I learned from that is
We've fallen for you.
yeah. What I learned from that is stair grips.
Yeah.
So that was an instant suggestion. Let's add some,
mhm.
nice, clear, transparent stair grips,
Yeah.
because that was, grandma checking in
Yes.
for the group, and
Uh-huh.
that could have been a broken tailbone.
Yeah.
So,
That's 2 lessons for me. I feel like
Yeah.
number 1, everyone should call Breezeway and hire Justin, because we love him. And he really did teach us so much.
Yeah.
mhm.
And his whole process, he came out to Park City and we did the whole official, what is it called?
short-term rental safety inspector.
Short-term rental safety inspection. Okay. Yeah. So we did like the whole thing with him and it was awesome. And everyone on our team like loved it. Okay. Number one. Number two, Miles is not the only person that has fallen down the stairs when we're like meeting new homeowners. So clearly slippery stairs are a real issue
Mhm.
and everyone should watch out for that. Okay. So, Blane, is there anything that you got or we're
Yeah.
okay?
The one that comes to mind was pretty recent. So this was unlike the earlier stories here. We had a furniture delivery recently. I was up at the house and accepted the first component of the delivery, and it was kind of a strange situation. We took part of the delivery, and then like the only time they could come back was during a guest arrival. So it was communicated to the guest that we would be back out to do the thing, and met the delivery people there, put this new furniture in there, um, and then took the pictures, sent them to the owner, and left. The owner had one of their family members come by about 3 weeks later and noticed that there was damage to the furniture. So in this chaotic situation, I was there when there was no one there, but our operations team was there when there was the whole family was eating dinner and they're trying to accept this furniture delivery. And then we ended up, that we learned that lesson there with be very thorough, take that extra second
Mhm.
there, like kind of don't let the stress of the guests being around there set things off for you there.
Got
Because
it.
I went back to the pictures I took, and what I sent the owner, well, it was on the other side where we had the
Oh,
furniture damage, and
Okay.
kind of a lesson learned there.
Okay. So we went there to receive the furniture. It was damaged, but we didn't catch it. And then a
Mhm.
guest stayed. So then the homeowner could have said, well, it was the guest that did it. It
Mhm.
was probably just from delivery, but we didn't
Yeah,
catch it. Okay.
yeah, and I mean, we had several people go in and inspect the house after, and none
Nobody
of our
saw it.
people picked up on it. So
Okay. Yeah. So like really checking when you're receiving furniture for a homeowner, because if they end up finding damage that you didn't find, they're going to be screwed. Okay. Got it. Okay. Those are good. Okay. So we were going to go into next to talk about like some nuggets, like some good tactics that we've used, examples of things that have helped with homeowners. But first, I thought maybe we should just like back up a little to give a little history on each person here because we skipped that part and I hate skipping that. So we'll just start with Miles, I think. And what we'll just do is like you can just say like where you started with Abode. You could give like a little background what you did before Abode if you want, and then like what you're doing with Abode now. And that's probably enough, right? Like where you started, where you are now, and yeah.
Cool. So yeah, I started at Abode. It'll be my 4 year coming up this month, actually.
Nice.
So October of 2020. Um, my last job before that, I'd actually just moved back from Denver, Colorado, working out there. Um, I moved back home to kind of help out my family. My mom was having some health issues, so I wanted to be back home in Salt Lake to just be around more and help her out. So I just got a job at a local ski resort at Snowbird,
Nice.
just something close. And I love snowboarding. So I just wanted to spend as much time back in the mountains and doing what I love as possible and kind of figure it out from there. Um, everything shut down, as you guys know,
Oh
for
yeah.
COVID, in March. So, that went from just, snowboarding every day and working up at the mountain school there to, unemployment and, helping my buddy with some landscaping. I ended up meeting one of our coworkers, Chance, on just a fun trip down to St. George. I didn't know him before,
Oh,
and met through mutual friends, and we really connected and became really good friends. And so, a couple months later, as things were kind of starting to seem like they were picking back up again, he had reached out to me saying Abode was hiring for operations team members, and
yep.
was seeing if I was interested in the position. I said, "Look, I don't know a thing about property management. I don't have any experience in the business, but I'd love to come interview and see how it goes." And got interviewed with you and maybe Jess,
Uh-huh.
Rachel. Things went well, got a call, got offered the position, and kind of just rolled with it from there. I mean, I didn't spend a ton of time in Park City before then, even as a local to Utah. So street names and addresses, very unfamiliar. And in this time, we would get, a spreadsheet of just nicknames of the property
Mhm.
or like trash rollouts, for instance.
Because like
So
how many did we have when you came out? So 4 years ago, probably what, like 100?
yeah,
Yeah.
something
Okay.
like that. And like, our systems internally weren't super built
Yeah.
out to be very user friendly. So
And that was probably the first 2-3 months of Breezeway.
yeah,
Like, I think I
Yeah.
was hired probably a month
yeah.
into it.
I mean,
Okay.
none of the trash routes or anything was on Breezeway. So I got a spreadsheet, and I think we divided and conquered, but I would get like 40 properties, let's say, to go roll out and roll in the trash.
Mhm.
We have nicknames for all of our properties. So basically, looking at the sheet, there was no address with it. It was the nickname. And then we had our Trello that we used.
Okay, yeah.
So I would have to go and search that property nickname on Trello,
Trello,
and
those are
find
the
the
old days, yeah.
associated
Not even that
address.
old, you guys. It's like
Yeah,
not that long ago.
yeah,
Here.
no. And then, plug that into Google Maps,
Mhm.
roll out the trash, do the exact same thing with the next. So,
Yeah.
um, that's how I started in operations, doing just, kind of the home inspections and, boots on the ground, things like that. And then I kind of just organically, I would say, found my way into the homeowners department as far as just my interactions, kind of randomly with homeowners at their
Mhm.
homes. And then, from those interactions, say, what's your number? What's your name? I would love to contact
Yeah.
you. And me being kind of an idiot, here's my personal cell phone.
I give everybody.
Feel free to text or call me whenever. And that kind of let, can you go, I'm getting some cabinet work done. Can you FaceTime me from the property and give me an update?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I would check in with Laura then and be like, hey, this okay? This lady wants me to come over and check on the progress. And then, the guy that was in my position before, he found a different opportunity that suited him, and I was approached and asked if I actually wanted the position, and I said absolutely. I would love to.
So that was like your move into dealing more with homeowners
Yeah, into
specifically.
dealing more with homeowners,
Yeah.
and then when I got the job, I received a nice, lovely filing cabinet with all of our rental licenses that needed to be
Oh,
renewed.
yeah.
So that was my first big project, was getting all of those renewed and getting a login to the owner email.
Yeah.
And kind of just familiarizing myself with all of our current homeowners and, really working closely with Laura, who's been doing it for years, and me really only having a relationship with a few of these owners,
Yeah.
and really sitting in her office for hours a day, just kind of familiarizing myself with these owners. Advantage was is I had known the properties very well. So I
Yeah.
worked in operations for about 2 years before then.
Yeah.
So the collaboration worked very well.
Yeah.
And then in November of last year, Rob and Rachel approached me about taking on the acquisition role, which was a huge honor because I know
We've
that's
never let
something.
anyone
Yeah.
touch it
Yeah.
ever.
So a lot of pressure there, but in a good way.
Yeah.
Very excited to do it, and it's
Yeah.
been a really fun
It's going well.
challenge. Yeah,
Yeah.
and just the growth experience at Abode and the opportunities I've been given has been amazing.
Been awesome for all of us.
myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Okay. Blane.
I was a little more atypical, I think. I ended up at Abode because my landlord, Tilly, works in sales. Well, at the time, I was living in Tilly's unit. So I'd lived in Park City for several years, and I was working as the GM at Ski Butlers, who we still use as one of our partners today. And I remember my first interview in like probably fall of 2019. It basically went like, if Ski Butlers says you're great, then like we want you to come work for us. Like, it was a very quick interview. I think I was in the office for about 10 or 15 minutes.
Was I there? I
Yeah.
think I remember it.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
were
it was
like,
you
yeah,
were-
no, you're cool.
Yeah, it was you, Rob, and Jess.
Yeah.
And the old Main Street office.
Yes.
Yeah, and I ended up turning the job down because I
You're like,
yeah.
weirdos.
Well, I thought I had more. There was a slew of decisions there, but and then the pandemic happened and the world shut down. So I was unemployed at Ski Butlers a little sooner than I normally had been. And then Rob and Rachel reached out and asked if I wanted to come back and work at a boat. So I worked on the operations team in the field for probably about 4-ish months, and then started kind of doing more, not quite management stuff, but kind of developing, like building out Breezeway, doing more processes. Yeah. Like Miles was saying with the trash, that became one of my big ones to make that more efficient.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
And then, as over time, I kind of filled in wherever was needed, really. I've kind of been the point man for, we've got one homeowner that owns a whole bunch of different houses, in town. So I've been focused on them, which
Mhm.
then kind of led into the rest of the homeowner team, from the operations team. So
Yeah, that's a cool story. Both have cool stories. Laura.
Okay. So, well, I worked for our dad
Mm-hmm.
for back in Chicago for like 12 years
In
and
his medical office.
medical office.
Yeah.
So nothing to do with um, property management at all. And then I came to visit you guys one Christmas and you said you needed help and I was unhappy at the other job. So I moved out here 3 weeks later.
Uh-huh.
And then it was basically I was the office manager
Uh-huh. Yeah.
because it was just you and Rob.
Yeah.
And
Well,
then,
we had like
I mean, you
a
had
few other people.
there was for other people, but
Yeah.
as like far as the office goes, it was nobody was managing paperwork or anything like that. And so
Yeah.
I was answering phones, but also paperwork. And so it was just me.
Mhm.
And then as the company grew, we got Jess
Uh-huh.
who helped out, and so then I grew more into only the owner stuff and
Mhm.
not actual office management.
Yeah. That was the first time that Rob and
Yeah.
I let anyone else talk to homeowners.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
was able to talk to homeowners from the start,
Yeah.
and then also all the vendors, scheduling all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So then when Jess came along, it was nice because I could pass some stuff along, but it's
Yeah.
been all homeowners. So I've known homeowners, I don't know, it's almost been 10 years, I think.
Uh-huh.
It's
And a
been
lot
like
of our
10 years.
homeowners
Yeah.
have been with us for a long time.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
they only know me,
Mm-hmm.
and they, like I said, I did make the mistake of giving my cell phone because at the time that was really the only option. So I get lots of text messages.
Yeah.
Still,
Which is kind of
it's
cool.
just fine. It's
And
great.
also annoying, I know. But like, yeah.
So that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
So it's been almost 10 years.
Okay, yeah. Well, I feel like in vacation rentals, like a lot of companies start out because you're like smaller, you manage a couple houses, and then like it slowly grows. And so whoever starts the company, like the owners usually are the ones dealing with the homeowners.
Mhm.
They're the only ones talking to the homeowners like at all. And then slowly over time, maybe you find a way to like have a team that you trust enough to like pass that off. But I do feel like when I talk to other company owners, it's somewhat rare
Mhm.
that they let someone else do homeowner relations and or homeowner acquisition, like still to this day. And so I feel kind of proud that we finally got there because it was hard.
Well,
Like,
it's
really
it's
hard.
really only a few of us talking.
Yeah.
And
But I
except-
mean, the
yeah.
homeowners are like totally like you have no business without the homeowners. And like, one homeowner, especially in our business, because it's higher nightly rate. So like one house could be worth $100,000 or $500,000 per year in revenue. And so that's so much more of a high value than like one guest who might be, say, 20 grand for their stay. And so then that puts so much weight on the homeowner's value that like it's really scary to let anyone else mess with it because if something went down, which like if I made the mistake and I'm talking to the homeowner, it's one thing. But if someone else was talking to a homeowner and it got messed up and then the homeowner fired us, like I knew how hard that would be to mentally handle. But we finally got there.
Yeah.
Like it took a while,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but it's going really well. So I feel good about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we were going to talk about like some nuggets, the secret sauce. So we were going to talk about like, I always try to get something specific that we can offer, like actual examples of things that we do as a team that maybe if someone else was listening to this, if anyone ever listens to this, that maybe it would like be helpful. Like you could use it that day to be helpful in the business. So we were talking before we started recording about like gathering our nuggets. I think we have them. Who wants to go first?
I'll do mine first.
Okay. Okay, go.
So mine is knowing what owners are okay with extra charges. And not extra, but I just mean the small charges that you don't necessarily see. Like you don't think about.
Yeah. Well, because like even though
owners
our
don't think about.
homeowners, like even though our homeowners might be making $100,000 net revenue per year with their rental, they will still, some of these people will still call us, and by us, I mean them, every month about like an $80 charge or $100 charge because they're just like very nitpicky and, more power to them. That's their strength and probably one of the ways they got so wealthy to have, say like a $5 million home or whatever they have. But we do have to really manage like if there's extra fees that are really like validated real fees. We're not like making them up. But some homeowners, it's just not worth it. And even if it's, say, an $80 cost and that we're going to have to eat it, sometimes we just eat it because it's not worth the fight every time. So that's what you're talking about, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So one of those would be touch-up clean.
Yeah.
We take our housekeeping very seriously. And the way we have it set up is basically if the house has been empty for over sometimes 2 weeks, but if it's been empty for over a month,
Mhm.
30 days or more, we do a touch-up clean, no matter if it's a guest coming or an owner coming. And I have several owners who do not want a touch-up clean done before they arrive.
Because they don't
Even
want
if
to pay
it's
for it.
been empty for, let's say if we're in the off season, it's been empty for 3 months.
Which, okay, we check the houses every week.
Yes, no, we
right? So
check
the
the
house
house,
is
yeah.
not like not been looked at for 3 months.
It was
but we're
cleaned
just
at the
saying,
last
yeah.
checkout,
Just not lived.
but
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
lived in.
Like
you
the
know.
dust will have fallen.
Right.
The toilet might get that ring from hard water.
Gets
Yeah.
buggy in
It's-
There
Park
could be
City.
dead
and-
flies.
Right.
Yeah.
The windows are closed. It's just,
Yeah.
it's been closed up. And so knowing, I have to know, we only know that owner doesn't want it because they get the statement and they're like, why is there a $75 charge for a touch-up clean?
Yeah.
It was me coming. And I'm like, well,
We don't want you to come to
we
your $5
vacuumed.
million house with dead bugs
Right.
and
we
a
got it.
toilet ring.
Yeah. And so after a couple of owners who have voiced their opinion on that, we make notes in our system that says no touch-up clean. So
Or don't charge them.
or don't charge them. It's sort of the, and then I rely on our ops team to decide, like, does it actually need one, or is it only been 2 weeks? It's
Yeah.
been here. So that's part of knowing your owner and who is okay with that and who's not.
Mhm.
And then looking at the charges and be like, it's okay. It's $75.
Yeah.
We don't need to charge them for it. Although we will put it on the statement.
Mhm.
We did a touch-up clean, no charge.
Yeah.
So that
That's a
we
nugget.
did that.
See, that is a nugget. Okay. I've heard other people talk about this in other podcasts, but I think this is important. We only started doing this a few years ago.
Mhm. Yeah.
And it is, if you're doing something for a homeowner, like a touch-up clean or like, what's another example? Something that we
Replace a
bulbs.
coffee pot, light
light
bulb,
bulbs,
Yeah.
getting a new
batteries.
glass coffee pot if the coffee pot
Mhm.
broke, putting batteries in things. And if we're not charging, which that's a lot of stuff that we don't charge for,
Right.
but we didn't used to do this, but we will now put it onto their owner statement as a zero charge so that they can see we're doing all this stuff that we're not charging you for. Because otherwise, then they start to see their owner statements, they're seeing what they are charged for, and they might be like, why am I charged for this? Why am I charged for that? But it's like, but you're not even seeing all the things we haven't charged you for, so now they are.
Right.
I think that's huge.
It's really helpful.
And I think one thing that goes along with that is making sure your statements that go out have proper descriptions too.
Mhm. We've learned over the years.
Checking in with your billing department, making adjustments, because a lot of what can happen is when statements go out, even if everything is accurate, it cuts down on the time that you have to go back and be reactive and, explain all the things you did versus just having that out there.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I don't know. I would say in other companies, this is probably happening, but I don't know for sure. But like for us, when we send out our owner statements once a month, then there's a flood of calls and
Mhm.
emails and texts
Yeah.
because the homeowners are then questioning things. So we've tried over the years to find like different ways to cut down on all that email and texting and phone calls about what's this, what's that on their statement. And so that's one of the big
Mhm.
ways that we worked, which was really fine tuning what is the description for each charge. And then the double checking. Is it double or triple checking in these days?
it's triple,
It's almost 4
quadruple
people
right
that
now.
check it.
Yeah.
So it's like
Yeah.
the owner statements are entered for us through our bookkeeper, right? So the owner statements are put in, they're entered, and like checked up and made sure that everything's closed out by the bookkeeper. And then before the statements go out to the homeowners, you check it.
All three of us.
We
now.
all
Okay.
check
Yeah.
it. Mhm.
Okay. So then there's 3 people that are then looking at all those owner statements to make sure that the wording is correct, the description is correct, making sure that if there's one homeowner that is very nitpicky about small charges, we take those
Mhm.
off and zero those out. What else are the things that you're catching?
Wrong wrong charges to the wrong property.
Yeah.
Okay,
Maybe,
yeah.
like it's
With similar address.
a bunch
Yeah.
of properties on
numbers,
Woodside,
Mhm.
and it's nope, that one was done for the one down the street.
Yeah.
And so you have to take it off one, put it on another.
Like a vendor might bill it maybe for the wrong one because there's a street in Park City named Woodside, and
Yeah.
so there's multiple properties we manage, and so they might maybe it's like 976 and 967 or something, and they yeah. Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Also like the description. It can't
Mhm.
just be
Fix the toilet.
replace the toilet, whatever, or something with the boiler.
Yeah.
I need a description. Like,
Right.
what
Like,
did they do?
replace the flapper and the chain
Right.
and the
Like,
whatever.
if
Yeah.
we're charging the owner $1,200 for the boiler
Right.
repair, they want to know what was
You
done.
can't just say boiler repair.
Right.
It needs
Right.
to
And
describe
I
like
need to know
the
exactly.
coils, the starter, whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I made up the coils
I don't
and
think
starter.
there's
I don't know if
coils.
that's real. I made that up. But
Could be the
you know what I
PRV
mean?
valve.
The PRV valve. Exactly. Okay. Okay. Those are good. I like that. Okay. All right. Do you have one?
Yeah, I
Same.
think I mentioned it earlier. I worked with one of our like very high end clients who wants things done a certain way. Um, and working with them, I kind of found that uh, there becomes like at a point there's no real barrier to getting something fixed.
Mhm.
It's just get it done. So while I may have a way of doing this more efficiently or more cost effectively, it's more important to make it right than for me to be right. And I think that's one thing that I've come to find is a pretty important thing in
Yeah.
the work that I do.
Like that's a hard lesson, I feel like, especially in operations type roles, because our team, and we're so lucky for this, but we have like amazing operations team. And so they've gotten really good at like knowing quickly what's the issue and what's the best way to fix it. And so then when you have a homeowner who's like, I don't want you to fix it like that. I want you to fix it like this. And you're like, that's going to take 2 extra days and cost you more money. And it actually won't be as sturdy of a fix. And if you try to explain that and they're like, I told you I want it fixed like this, then that's a great lesson to learn. It's like, okay, it's okay to know that from your experience that there's a better way to do this. But it's also really important to know, like, but this homeowner, it's their home. And they really feel strongly like, I know what's best for my home. And you know what? That's true. It is their home.
Yep.
So if they want it done that way, who are we to stand in the way of that? Like, okay, great, we'll do it your way. And then a lot of times that homeowner is just happy because you did it their way.
Mhm.
And that I feel like the homeowner you're talking about, that's true with him.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, he just has some quirks about how he wants things done. And when we do it the way he wants it, he's happy.
Mhm.
And so, like, who are we to stand in the way of his joy? Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Totally. Okay, Miles.
I think I kind of touched on it, but I think it's more so proactivity in almost all across the board. So also knowing kind of the temperature of your owners
Mhm.
too. So if you're having a rough go with a certain owner, email communication might be a little bit off, you're misunderstanding each other.
Yep.
That's when we need to schedule an in-person meeting if we can,
Mhm.
need to pick up the phone. Or I found what's really helpful with these, clients that they're very busy. They only get to Park City once a year is offering that virtual meeting from their property.
Mhm.
Uh, Many owners have owner specific space. They like things set up a certain way for their arrivals. That can get confusing in a back and forth email with text of where things go. So
Yeah.
going to that property, we have the technology to FaceTime. You can go through each individual room, set it up the way they want, have them sign off on the
Mhm.
photos that you're taking to be uploaded to our software so the operations team can check. And that's also setting them up for success in a way where they have visual reference of how things need to be. So in turn, Laura or Blaine or myself, we're not going to get those calls saying, is this supposed to be exactly right here?
Yeah.
Um, they feel confident in the job they're doing and have all the resources to set things up that way as well.
Mhm.
But I do think those in-person meetings or virtual, as well as finding things, whether it's like throughout the year or getting to know these homeowners more on a personal level. So you get to know their birthday one year,
Mhm.
take note of that. So next year on their birthday, you can have a balloon and
Yeah.
cards, a bottle of wine, their favorite beer. There was
Unreasonable hospitality for your
right.
homeowners.
There
Yeah.
was an owner whose dad was coming in to celebrate his 70th birthday, and we were just kind of just having a chat. He had happened to mention that his dad loves Budweiser and kind of left it at that. He's
Yeah.
like, I was like, you want a nice bottle of wine or anything? He liked Budweiser.
Yeah.
So we set it up. We put a 30 pack of Budweiser in the fridge for him. He came in, actually ended up having to go to the property for basically kind of helping him with like a clothing in a closet, personal owner items. And he wanted to sit down and chat. And we talked for about an hour. I got to actually learn a lot about the homeowners themselves, his
Mhm.
kid. So that's just, the more information you know about a homeowner gives you opportunity to go out of your way for them, do something nice. And then when you have, the rough patches or something does go wrong, you have rapport and
Yeah.
trust with that homeowner and they might just like you
You have
too.
like a relationship to like as a foundation when
Yeah,
there's issues. Yeah.
exactly. So I do think that's really important.
Yeah. No, that's a good one. I think that like number one, like being able to go above and beyond is always, I feel like that's always really strong. And I think also, like you said, having that personal relationship with people is huge because there's always, I mean, this business is so varied. There's like so many opportunities for things to go wrong. And sometimes it's our fault that we made a mistake, but sometimes it's just like there was too much snow this year and it came through the window, broke window. And like that is painful to talk to a homeowner about. But if you have like a personal relationship where you kind of get along already, which I like look at all of you and I feel like you totally all have that. That's so
And that's
great.
one where you would a call.
Yeah.
That's not an
Yes.
email.
And then that's
Right.
true. And then I
Yep.
think that's a really, that nugget is super important too of like, because even we've had homeowners say this to us, like, "Hey, an issue like this, I want you to call me." And it's basically like the whole overarching theme on this is like, if it's like small or it's like positive or it's um, like I don't need to tell you this, but I just wanted to let you know this is great or whatever, then okay, yeah, text, email, whatever. But if it's like something went wrong, whether we made the mistake or it's just like I don't know, the power
The
went
weather.
out, and so your ice maker went out, and then it melted all over the floor and buckled the wood flooring or whatever. It's like, whether it's our fault or not, getting ahead of it with a phone call, or if we could be there in person, which is harder, but I feel like that is huge, and it's a lesson that, like, we've had to learn over and over again. So
Yeah.
I feel like that's a huge strong
Yeah.
nugget of,
Well,
like
and then the building on that productivity of it is having a solution ready.
yeah.
Is like this happened. We have already called
Mhm.
the flooring company. They'll be there tomorrow.
Yeah.
Those sorts of things I think also go a long way.
Yeah.
Because it takes that like initial shock factor of this thing
Mhm.
just happened, but it's being handled and it brings like the temperature of the conversation back down a bit.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Which, I mean, I feel like that's, like, sort of maturity and, like, um, understanding as an adult that we all learn of, like, nobody likes it when you come to them and you just tell them a problem. And I know as a business owner, and I'm sure other business owners agree with this, even though you wanna know all the issues in your business so you can solve them, it starts to feel really annoying when people come to you constantly like, "This is wrong. We shouldn't be doing this like this. We should," and what you really want is for someone to be like, "This is wrong, and here's the solution." Or here's a possible solution. And I think we do have a team that is really strong in that. And I think we're super lucky for that. And I think that's something to like build within anyone's team. And that could be like any industry.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But, and then the homeowners can feel that too. Like the same within your team, you want people not just coming with problems, but also with solutions. And then you want to be able to do that with your homeowner and really with your guests. Like there's a guest at the house and they're like, I'm trying to think of like a problem that we would come to them with. But I don't know, maybe there's like an ice berm, sometimes because 'cause we're in, winter destinations like ski towns, and so there'll be when the, plows plow the street, then they make this big bump of snow at the bottom of the driveway,
doesn't
and
melt.
then gets warm and cold, and then it makes like a giant ice block, and so, it's something where, like, if we saw that at a house and there was a guest there, we wouldn't, like, wait and say, like, "Well, let's just see if they call us.
Mhm.
Let's just see
Right.
how annoyed they are." Like, instead, it might be like, "Hey, let's make sure we go over there and start trying to tackle the ice berm, before they have to call us because now they're annoyed that we don't care about it when
And
we
they
did.
can't get in the driveway.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so those are all good. Okay, I feel like we've offered valuable insight and nuggets, the secret sauce. Um, is there anything else anybody wants to share that you were thinking of while we were talking that you were like, "Ooh, I hope I have a chance to say this, but I don't know if I will?"
I was just gonna deliver good news when you have it too.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, year round, a lot of these owners only are you're asking for approval
true,
on
so
everything.
true.
You're letting them know about guest damage, but when there's some good news, or sometimes even the operations team has great
Mhm.
interactions with guests where they compliment the property and they pass that on to you.
Yes, tell the
Take a
homeowner.
second to write a quick email and
Yeah.
just let them know how much of an impact their house is having on
Yeah.
their vacation.
That's something Rob and I have tried to do for years. I don't know where we're at with this, you guys, what the process is at
For
this
what?
moment,
What do you
but
mean?
what we used to do is have a list of all the homeowners, and we would try and call them twice a year just to say hi and be like, "Hey, how are you? Just checking in. How are we doing? Are you happy
Mhm.
with what About is doing? Are you happy with the revenue you're creating? Do you have any issues?" Like just to call
Yeah.
without any reason and just chat. And we
Yeah.
tried to do it twice a year, and it's always been really hard. So you don't even have to explain where we're at right now. But I do think that's a really good idea. to get put into place and try to do it at least once a year and then
Mhm.
hopefully twice, where you're reaching out to your homeowners, hopefully with a phone call. And it's hard because like nobody answers the phone and then you got to call a million times, text and email. But like trying to reach out to every homeowner without an issue just to say hello, I think is really important. And another way to do that is to send like owner gifts once a
Mhm.
year because that's
Mhm.
another I think that's a really big way. I had another way to do that too, but I can't remember what it was.
Yeah.
So
I mean, one other thing we've been doing recently is looking ahead in the calendar of when owners are coming
uh-huh.
and confirming their stays.
Yes.
Typically, dates don't change, but sometimes they
Yep.
do. They appreciate you reaching out. It gives you an opportunity to ask if they're coming with the whole family or if
Mhm.
it's just them, because that opens the conversation sometimes. Oh, actually, we're only just using this one bedroom.
Yeah.
So we can schedule cleaning accordingly versus them getting their cleaning costs and be like, well, we only
Yeah.
used one bedroom. Why is it the full cost of cleaning as
Yeah.
well? Is a lot of the time they're my friend is using the property or
Yeah.
we're all staying together. It's for my friend's
Yeah.
birthday.
Mhm.
Another opportunity to give them a gift and do
Yeah.
something
Have a
nice.
cake.
So I think those, pre-stay confirmations as well as dates will change. So
Uh-huh.
when we're in the busy season here in Park City and
Yeah.
every property is booked almost every night,
Yeah.
if an owner just actually forgot to update you, but they're leaving a day early,
Uh-huh.
that gives you a whole nother 24 hours to make sure the
Totally.
property is clean and inspected and ready for the next guest. So
Yeah.
I think that's a really good thing to
Yeah.
implement.
Because like okay, don't forget what you were gonna say because I heard you almost say something. Don't forget. I would forget if I was you, but you're not going to. So I feel like we have this whole process where in, whenever anyone books with us, whether they book through one of our reservation agents or on VRBO or Airbnb, like directly without talking to us, we reach out to every single guest after they book to try and just chat with them to make sure they book the right house for them and find out like, is it a birthday party or like a girls group or whatever. So we can have more information and then hopefully make their stay better with concierge services and stuff. And then we started realizing we should be doing that with homeowners. We should be calling
Yeah.
every homeowner before every stay. And that's what Miles was talking about, which I think is a huge nugget. And it's hard because some companies don't have teams with enough people that they could actually get that done. But you guys are doing emails, right? Or are
Mhm.
you calling too?
It's mostly emails because just like you were saying, not a lot of people are going to pick up
Yeah.
their phone right
Yeah.
away. And that stay, typically we reach out like 2 weeks, sometimes 1 week. It just
Okay.
kind of depends on how many we have coming in.
Yeah.
Um, but we just find like the email responses
Yeah.
Much
is
better.
perfect for that.
Yeah.
If we don't hear from them and it's a day back and it's a day or two before the arrival, then you could have the option of calling or shooting them a text. But typically we've had good response on
Yeah.
it. They'll either just be like, "Yep, I'm coming," or sometimes you get a lot more
Yeah.
details that
That's like another chance to reach out.
Yeah.
Just to reach
and
out.
things will pop up. They'll be like, "Oh, I just thought of this, but can you make sure like they just got something replaced or repaired? Like this is really important to us that this is working or the hot tub is clean
Mhm.
before we come
Mhm.
or that they want a turkey pan or just whatever.
Yeah.
It'll trigger them to think of the things that
Totally.
they need for this trip that they've been
Yeah.
planning. So
Like the same care we would put for guests.
Right.
Yeah.
It also like email also is a pretty widely accepted way to do these things.
Mhm.
There's some people that don't like phone calls,
Right.
whereas like an email you can pretty much send out and like that's pretty easy to go with. Additionally, we've got some homeowners that it's two siblings own the house. Well, you
Uh-huh.
can reach out to both siblings. They both kind of get that connection there
Yeah.
too, which I think is a helpful thing because then you're not or a husband and wife team. You're not just addressing
Uh-huh.
one or the other. If they're all kind of involved there.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you can get like maybe someone gets butthurt because you like, you just tell one of them and you don't tell the other, which
they're like, "Hey, he's not even coming. I'm coming."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look,
Yeah.
I'm married to my husband. We have our business together. And like, it's for sure happens that like someone will send an email to my husband and it's something that I feel like I work on. And I'll be like, why did they send that to you and not copy me? So like, you're right. It
Yeah.
totally helps to be able
Yeah.
to have both.
And then I think the added detail of that is you can also like kind of preload those the maintenance things that we're working
Mhm.
on. Like, hey, these were like kind of minor things. Like we recommend this service, and then that puts it in their head when they get there
Mhm.
of, oh yes, in this context, a guest would struggle with this.
Mhm.
I can see. Whereas if you're trying to send that from 2,000 miles away,
Mhm.
there's less of a context there for them to know the importance of what you're trying
Yeah.
to improve on the house.
That's true. I was thinking of one other thing too, which is reviews. We've done this for a while. And I think I'm like overdoing it now because I think it's become somewhat automated, but I still manually also do it. I don't know, you guys should tell me if
What?
this is true. When I see all the reviews that come through, and so when there's well, really any review, I send a positive or a negative review to our operations team and to some other people. And depending on what like the negative review says, if it says something about the listing confused me, I thought this or that, and then when I got here, I was confused, then of course I'm sending that through our marketing team so they can update the listing to make that not as confusing. But more likely, like if it says something like, I don't know, the knives weren't sharp or whatever, then I'll send that to operations so that we can get that fixed. But then any kind of positive review, I mean, like anything, I send that to this team because I want to make sure they send it to the homeowner because we realized like, and I think we're somewhat more automated now with this. I'm not sure, but maybe not.
We reach out
You're
to
still
them
doing it?
directly.
Okay.
Yep, absolutely.
We need to get that automated eventually, but it's so good for the homeowner to be able to see like, oh yeah, people stayed at my house and they loved it and to hear why. And then sometimes if people say like, we love the house, the location's amazing, it's so cool, but the furniture's really dated and like, they really should update the furniture. Sometimes I'll send that to this team as well so that they can tell the homeowner that like, hey, this person loved your house, but just so you know, it's not just us that's been pushing and notifying you that the furniture's old. Look at it, I guess just said it so that can help,
That's
get you in
helpful
the
when
right
you
direction.
get more than one review of someone saying this mattress is really uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Like this mattress sucks. And you're like, and we've been telling them, hey, you need a new mattress. And it's like, and look at these 3 people that agree. Then you have much more instigation to like, get it there. Okay. I think we probably have been talking for longer than we were supposed to. I'm not sure. But okay. Did we cover everything?
I think so.
Okay. I think this was good.
Covered a lot.
If anyone ever listens to this episode, which again, we're not sure that will happen, but if it does, I feel like they're going to get a lot of valuable nuggets and secret sauce. So thanks you guys for doing this with me. I know everyone thinks I'm crazy for doing this podcast, but I think it's going to be good, even if no one listens.
I'll listen and watch.
Yeah,
Thank you.
we'll
Our
bump
mom
those
will
numbers
listen.
up.
Yes.
Yeah. Call your moms.
Yeah.
Okay?
Oh, my mom.
All right. Well, that's it for now. You'll see us next time on episode number 4.